Thanks everyone for watching, liking, subscribing. I hope that everyone could take the time to watch this video and share this video, because I've made this video probably 70, maybe 85 times now, and unfortunately I can't get more than 50 people to watch it over the last 10 years of the build-up of how things have been happening. Now, since the deregulation of the banking systems, going back to maybe, let's just say, the Obama administration and what's happened from then, more and more deregulation of the banking systems has affected countries like Canada, Australia, New Zealand, the UK, and basically disenfranchising the middle class, whether you're living in a blue state of America, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and the UK. Your banking system has basically been your number one enemy, and government officials and government at all government levels have hijacked the banking system to basically work against you, to basically destroy you. And I really hope this video could get shared so that I don't have to keep making this video every year. So now, the other day I received an email about 90-year mortgages in Canada. Mike, 90-year mortgages. Well, we can't show you Canadian news because I could do time in jail for that. So this is a blog, and from Rate Hub. How much interest would you pay on a 90-year mortgage? All right, so why? Why are they allowing this for? Well, because homes are beyond affordability. People's average income earners need to save 20 to 30 years to put a down payment on a home, not buy a home. So we're in a predicament and a huge problem here, and it's getting worse. Now, what are they doing? They're obviously blaming the pandemic. Well, I've dedicated and devoted this channel to prove to people that we were in a world of hurt before the pandemic. And people knew that, and that's why 2019 was the year of the protest. So 90-year mortgages, okay, well, that's my comment on that. Now let's get into why we got here. And this is the most important part, and this is why you should share this video. So, is Canada's economy addicted to money laundering? So the reason why Canada is the country will fall into recession if 3/4 of money laundering suddenly disappeared. So Canada's economy is addicted to money laundering. Canada would be in a recession if it wasn't for money laundering. So this is a big deal. So we go over back here. Canada wants more Chinese workers, students, tourists, says immigration minister. Now, this is back from 2016, and they've been pushing really, really hard to bring in more and more Chinese. Why? Because they bring in a lot of money, and they spend a lot of money, and they buy our homes and leave them empty. So Canada is to bring in 500,000 Chinese per year. Now, you're probably wondering, I'm going to go to StatsCan and check this out, Mike. You're full of BS. You go to StatsCan, you don't have Chinese. You do have a little bit, but you don't have investors. Because in Canada, it's defined differently. Because when you create the stats, you obviously kind of play around with what this means and what that means. So Chinese investors, 500,000 per year, and they're going to open more immigration offices to let more in and get more in because the money is good, right? So that ties back, is Canada and Australia and New Zealand and the UK, before people go into the comments and saying, yes, we've been covering this across the Commonwealth. So, and they want to bring in more, but this doesn't tie in to when you go to immigration stats, because this is not immigration, this is investing. So they found ways around it to play with the words on people. So as more and more people drop their money in, through the Vancouver model that came out in 2010 during the Vancouver Olympics, while housing was starting to go south in Canada because it was just unaffordable in 2010, they just implemented the Vancouver model, right? And that basically did a lot of problems for Canadians. Let's keep going. And fentanyl making a killing. Secret police study finds that crime networks could have laundered over $1 billion through Vancouver homes just in 2016. So we're having a fentanyl crisis. Where's it coming from? Well, it's right here. This is why they want to block Canadian media. Where's it coming from? China. And the fentanyl sales come and through the drug dealers, and then it gets laundered into Canadian real estate. And so the story goes. And leaving our cities in Canada and Australia, New Zealand, and the UK into empty shells, right? Let's keep going. Now, that says $1 billion, but let's go to our famous Better Dwelling article. Canada would be in a recession without money laundering. So $200 billion laundered across Canada in 5 years, but that's just from 2011 to 2015. Billions and billions parked. We are estimating here on the channel. We said 460 billion to 2020, and then over 2020 to 2022 was another 230 billion was laundered through real estate, turning our cities into empty shells, making homeowners wealthy overnight. And this is a big major one. Canada would be in a recession if it wasn't without money laundering. So we were warning people here 6 years ago on our channel. Vacant homes will force more people into homelessness. Economy is too dependent on foreign investing. 6 years ago, my opinion, foreign investing has destroyed the fabric of Canadian basic lifestyle. Canadians will be forced into homelessness when interest rates go up, plain and simple. And this goes with Australia, New Zealand, and the UK. And we've been covering, look, Edmonton homeless, New Mexico homeless, headquarters, Portland, finding citizens for sleeping in vans. So this is when you type in homelessness on our channel up here, you get all these videos that we made. Money laundering is forcing Canadian middle class into homelessness. Economic takeover of London, Dublin, Edinburgh, UK. Mass exodus of UK homeless crisis. CCP investors forcing Irish middle class into homelessness. Ireland housing depression 5 years ago. And we've been warning people, get out of California, disappearing middle class 5 years. We've been doing this and we've been trying so hard, but we could barely get more like 200 views, 500 views. People, we've been so heavily shadow banned, and the only way back at this is if I ask you guys wholeheartedly to share this videos. Let's keep going. So the world has millions of vacant homes, and 1.3 million are in Canada. OECD. So the whole world is undergoing a housing shortage, but vacant homes are barely budging. So 42 million of its 426 million homes are vacant. Yes, roughly 1 in 10 homes in vacant economies are empty. And advanced economies are empty. I'm sorry, folks. So now here's the deal with this. I believe, and I've been so hard on this, that 4 out of 10 homes in Canada are empty. 5 out of 10 homes in Australia or dwellings are empty. 4 in New Zealand out of 10 are empty. And England, the UK, is about 3 out of 10. So these are just the numbers that I brought up over the years. Canada has a 1.3 million vacant homes and about a 6-year supply. So when they tell you there's a housing shortage, we need to build, we have a 6-year supply of homes right here. But they're going to bring in 500,000 immigrants from third world countries, and they're going to be bringing in the back door more money. But Canada's been working with Taiwan and other countries to bring their money into Canada, park it, and then the Canadian middle class, that's what they do to the Canadian middle class. And the Canadian middle class that built this economy, like the Portuguese built Oakville, Ontario, Mississauga, Ontario, and Toronto, Ontario. What did they do? They deported in 2007 and 8 thousands of Portuguese families because they were no longer needed to build the European expansion in Canada, right? Right. Let's keep going. What do we say here? Back in 2016. Bubble, would it burst here in Vancouver? No, it can't. Even Burnaby, Richmond, it will never burst because there's always people overseas that are going to come in from China, basically, and buy up the properties the second they're available for sale. Because a lot of the money that is being made in China, a percentage of it is illegally made, so they can't invest it in China. So they come to Canada and use the housing market as a safe haven. The housing market and gold market is a few markets that are safe havens, right? The housing markets are safe because you're not carrying around bricks of gold everywhere you go, or having them in safes where it's a risk to get you know, you could get killed over having gold, right? Bars of gold. And so just invest in the houses. So that's what a lot of foreigners have been doing. They've been bringing in a lot of money, dirty money, money laundering, whatever it is, or illegally made money, and just investing it here in Vancouver. And what does that happen? Well, what's going to happen is just, oh, what happens if the BC people or the Canadians start losing their jobs, they can't pay their mortgages? Who cares? They leave. And then more foreigners come in and buy up the properties. So I left the city of Vancouver years ago. I was warning people. I moved to a small town, and I paid $260 for my house. Now it's worth like 700,000-800,000. And people are like, "Great, Mike, you're doing well on your investment." No, I bought a house to raise my family and kids, not to make an investment off a house. So this is really, really disturbing. Really, really disturbing on what's happening here. And let's keep going. And, well, if you spare a thought for those living down under in Australia, we were warning people here. Australia's interest housing crisis will destroy middle class when renewals creep in 5 years ago. So when people are saying, Mike, 90-year mortgages in Canada, Australia is already ahead of that. They're doing interest-only mortgages 5 years ago. Interest-only loan crackdown could lead to a U.S.-style house meltdown by 2024. So I was predicting by 2024. So big trouble in Little Aussie. Interest-only loans. They're going to have to raise rates to curb inflation 5 years ago. When rates go up, it's game over. Australia, UK interest-only mortgages ready to go. So we were already trying to warn people, Australians forced into homelessness. Interest-only mortgages come due. It's a debt trap. So, again, it's been happening. They've been deregulating our banking system. Watch this one. Major Canadian real estate debt passed 76% of GDP. Mass inflation to hit by 2022. Tax hikes ahead 5 years ago. So what did we say? Here it is. Starting to brew. Numbers from the Bank of Canada, BOC, show that mortgage debt is ballooning as interest rates make minor upticks. Mortgage debt is now at the highest ratio compared to the economy it has ever been. Even though the debt service ratio are manageable, remember? It's manageable. Why? Because artificially dangerous low interest rates that they had. Secondary mortgages, riding off the coattails of your equity to help manage your debt and service your debt. And people using their homes as ATM machines to move forward. Let's keep going. And there's a typical home there for sale in Vancouver, $5.5 million for that. So when people say, oh, but that's a treat, Mike. That's a treat. That house is a treat. Well, here's your treat right here. You could go stateside, and these houses were even cheaper back then. You could go stateside if you wish. You could buy something rural here, 99 grand, 80 grand for restore a home. Something more contemporary here. For $99,000. Why is housing real estate cheap in America? It's not cheap in America. This is the delusional I'm trying to get this out of Canadians and Australians and New Zealanders' heads. It's not cheaper in America. It's incomes and wages in these states are tied to housing prices. Oh, then they don't make a lot of money in America. I'd rather make $650 in America and pay down a mortgage on this house for $39,000, okay, at 5%, because I could pay this thing off in 10, 12 years and actually have the damn thing paid off. I'll have it cleaned up. I'll have it organized. Maybe something like this, $79,000, something more brick, $4,900, 75 large, $21,000. Look, in a cul-de-sac, that's in a cul-de-sac. So you could pick and choose, and there's tens of thousands of homes at that price. Right? So when wages and incomes are tied to real estate prices, this one here matches this house here we're looking at. That's 5.5 million, and that's 45 grand. That's what that other house was supposed to be worth, not 5.5 million. But I want to bring this up because it's urgently important to let people know that this was happening before the pandemic. When was this video made? When was this made? 3 years ago here, 2019. Okay? Oh, no. This is a video we actually remade so we can get people to see more of it. Unfortunately, we just don't get found. People are asking about Mike in the Night because we haven't done Mike in the Night since pretty much early 2020. You could find us on Rumble and Odyssey. There's the last episode of Mike in the Night if you haven't seen it. Mike in the Night, episode 517, SOS, Canada's sinking fast, they are murdering us. And why? Because we were... But what is the real thing? Like, there's something so big in the works. Either it's a real big hot war that's going to wipe out a percentage of us. Either they're going to pull the trigger on a mass pandemic. Or it's going to be something. So they painted us into this an economic corner. My way out of it was to pull the trigger on a pandemic on September 28, 2019, as the world was burning And we were saying, Mike in the Night 228, they will pull the trigger on a pandemic. Worldwide riots as world burns. Look at my hand over my head there. The whole world. That was in South America. You should have seen what was happening in Israel and in Iran and in Germany and in Poland and France with the Gilets jaunes in Hong Kong. The whole world was protesting, and they had to pull the trigger on the pandemic. And don't forget to check out our older episodes here where Darwin Takeover, where Darwin, Australia, people in Darwin, Australia, the government in Darwin, Australia, went to China to bring over this network of social credit score to bring it to Australia. And this was back in, when was this? May 11, 2019. Leave No Dark Corner. That was Mike in the Night there.
To try to keep that.
And we were talking about digital currency, digital ID. We were talking about this in 2016, but very good episode here if you guys want to watch. Unfortunately, it barely got 2,000 views. So if you guys want to catch up and see what we got going on, just go across our channel and search across. What's the solution to this? Everyone's solution. Okay, you're right. You were right. No, it's basically tie incomes, average wage incomes, not government six-figure government incomes, right? Because when they do that, they do this. Hold on, let me see if I could search across the channel here real quick. If you're still watching this, guys, thanks for watching this and being part of the channel. Let's go here real quick here, and let's type in. Oh, I forgot what that video was now. I lost my train of thought. It was a good one, too. I wanted to show you, but it's okay. Guys, don't forget to like, and if you want to search across the channel, if you're on a desktop at work, go here, search, type in banking, for example. Look at all banking hysteria from the States, Australia, Canada, New Zealand banks. Over all the years, we would look. CIBC bank stock slide. Banks of Canada are due. Banks are due to fail. Bail-in from taxpayers by 2025. I hope that prediction does not come true. More Australian banking disaster ahead. Asset sheet. Bad debt. Toxic assets. Money laundering 5 years ago. So go ahead and search across the channel here. I'm from Ireland, so type in Ireland. See what I was talking about. Here it is. Northern Ireland housing is hot as Southern Islanders flee to North for affordability. Mass exodus of Ireland youth as Ireland housing takeover, pushing talent out. Ireland massive housing crisis, food prices and rentals and energy bills, massive brain drain. CCP investors forcing Irish middle class into homelessness. Foreign investors going to Ireland, pricing out locals, leaving houses empty everywhere 4 years ago. CPP are pushing out locals in Ireland. 9,846 homeless people in Ireland, mass exodus 5 years ago. So, I mean, barely look, like, what is it? 900 people saw that video. Unfortunately, no one ever really took me serious when I was telling people what was going to happen, how it was going to happen, and how this was happening before the pandemic, way before the pandemic. And I really hope you could share this and get this out there. And if you're in Canada, share this and get this out there. And guys, don't forget to join us on Mike in the Night on Odyssey and Rumble. I would really, 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 really appreciate your support if you can. Call into the show and tell us what's going on in your neck of the woods if you're in the Commonwealth. Thank you very much, guys. And Mike Martin's here. I have spoken.